So, who do you think is India's most reliable Western ally? If your mind instantly jumped to the United States, or maybe you're thinking about their historical ties with Russia, you might actually want to reconsider. There's this incredibly quiet but ridiculously powerful partnership that's literally been shaping global geopolitics from behind the scenes for decades.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're decoding the India-France alliance. We're going to explore how two nations, both fiercely protective of their own strategic autonomy, doing their own thing, have somehow managed to build this massive, multidimensional global partnership. This isn't just a bunch of polite diplomatic handshakes, right? We're talking about a deep, time-tested alliance that basically acts as an anchor for modern geopolitics.
All right, here's the game plan for the explainer. First, Section 1, Decades of Unshakable Trust. Then, Section 2, Arming the Alliance. We'll follow that up with Section 3, Securing the Indo-Pacific, move right into Section 4, Space, Cyber, and Climate, and finally wrap up with Section 5, Navigating the Future.
Okay, jumping right into Section 1, Decades of Unshakable Trust.
To understand where these two are headed, you really have to look at how their bond was forged. And honestly, it was forged in moments when India was facing serious global isolation. Diplomatic ties were established right off the bat when India gained independence in 1947. France even peacefully handed over its Indian territories shortly after, which really set the tone. Fast forward to 1974. India conducts its Smiling Buddha nuclear tests. Now, the US and Canada, they immediately cut off nuclear fuel deliveries. But France actually did the exact opposite. They stepped up, congratulated the Indian government, and actually increased their supply of enriched uranium. Then we hit 1998, a massive turning point. The Soviet Union is gone, and French President Jacques Chirac officially steps in to declare a formal strategic partnership. And this happened right alongside the Pokhran II tests.
The contrast here is just wild. Look at how the world reacted in '74 and '98 versus how France reacted. While the United States and a bunch of other countries hit New Delhi with heavy condemnation, serious sanctions, and total isolation, France zagged when the rest of the world zigged. They were one of the very few major powers that absolutely refused to condemn India. Instead, President Chirac publicly argued that excluding India from the international nuclear order was a mistake that needed fixing. France doubled down on dialogue right when India was taking the absolute most heat globally.
And you know what? That historical loyalty has compounded into some serious diplomatic shielding today. France consistently runs interference for India on the world stage. They've used their clout to support New Delhi regarding Jammu and Kashmir. They even stepped in to block a Chinese motion at the UN about the revision to Article 370. Plus, France is a vocal champion for India getting a permanent seat on the UN Security Council, and they fully back their entry into the nuclear suppliers group. I mean, that is exactly what real diplomatic cover looks like.
Let's transition over to Section 2, Arming the Alliance.
We're shifting from historical trust to some very tangible, heavy metal results. Economics obviously form the bedrock here. Between 2021 and 2022, annual bilateral trade hit a very impressive $12.42 billion. On top of that, France is the 11th largest foreign investor in India, pouring over $10 billion in since the year 2000. But to be totally honest with you, the real weight of this relationship, it's in the defense sector.
Get this. Between 2017 and 2021, France skyrocketed to become India's second largest defense supplier. Second largest. That is a massive jump. This isn't just your standard buyer-seller, here's the equipment, see you later dynamic. It is a profound strategic military integration.
Just look at the sheer scale of the deals we're talking about. The Indian Air Force inducted 36 of those highly advanced Rafale fighter jets. Then you've got these state-of-the-art Scorpion conventional submarines. And here's the kicker, they're actually being built right in India, thanks to a huge 2005 technology transfer agreement. You also have the Tata Group tying up with Airbus to manufacture C-295 tactical transport aircraft domestically. So what's the takeaway here? France isn't just selling weapons. They are actively helping India build its own sovereign defense industrial muscle. It's an absolute game changer.
All right, moving on to Section 3, Securing the Indo-Pacific.
So, we're moving from the skies to the seas, and this right here brilliantly shows how fast geopolitics can shift. Remember the whole AUKUS Pact? The US, UK, and Australia suddenly teamed up, and because of that, France lost a massive, lucrative nuclear submarine deal with Australia. Obviously, France was not happy about that cancellation, but geopolitics hates a vacuum, right? Needing a new security anchor in the region, France immediately pivoted. They turned their focus squarely on India to aggressively rework and stabilize their entire Indo-Pacific strategy.
Both India and France are resident powers in the Indian Ocean, and together they've mapped out this incredible maritime footprint. They conduct joint patrols, which is New Delhi basically saying, hey, we're expanding our reach with partners we trust. In 2022, they set up a trilateral development cooperation fund for the region and even pulled the UAE into a trilateral grouping. The goal? Securing the waters all the way from the east coast of Africa out to the far Pacific. And crucially, they've signed reciprocal logistic agreements. This means India actually gets access to vital French naval facilities in places like Djibouti, Abu Dhabi, and Reunion Island. That is a massive force multiplier for sure.
Let's take a vertical shift now with Section 4, Space, Cyber, and Climate.
We are going from the ocean surface straight up into orbit and cyberspace. It's fascinating how broad this partnership really is. On the climate front, both nations are totally committed to the Paris Agreement, and they actually launched the International Solar Alliance together back in 2015. Up in space, which is just wild to think about, France has been one of India's absolute closest partners for 4 decades now. You've got India's ISRO and the French space agency CNES teaming up on advanced projects like the Trishnus satellite mission. And then in cyberspace, they've got Indian and French tech giants working together to push the boundaries on things like quantum computing, AI, and supercomputing. They're literally building the future together.
But you know, this digital alliance isn't just about making cool new tech. It is fiercely protective. Both countries have agreed on a very robust counter-terrorism agenda. They are actively going after the financing of terrorism, fighting radicalization, and working really closely to stop the internet from being misused by modern terror networks. They're trying to keep the digital realm secure for all of us.
And that brings us to our final segment, Section 5, Navigating the Future.
Because look, while this sounds like a perfect fairy tale, it's a mature, pragmatic partnership in the real world. We absolutely have to acknowledge their stark divergence when it comes to the Ukraine conflict. Based on our source material, France has been highly critical of Russian aggression. India, on the other hand, has its own historically privileged ties with Russia and has refrained from condemning them. So how do they not just fall apart over this? Well, it comes down to a shared baseline. They both strictly respect the UN Charter, international law, and territorial integrity. They know how to manage their differences like adults. But there are definitely strategic hurdles ahead. First off, they really need to forge more of these Indo-Pacific mini-laterals, small targeted groups with other countries to help keep the region open. Second, there's a very real, critical question out there. Beyond diplomatic high fives and selling arms, what is France's actual material capacity to help India counter China's influence in the Indo-Pacific? Can they really project that much power? And third, to truly last, this alliance has to evolve from just governments talking to governments into real people-to-people connections. And thankfully, that human element is already coming together. They've got the educational exchange program and this new consortium of Indo-French universities. By setting up flexible visas and making sure degrees are recognized in both countries, they're quite literally building the next generation of this alliance through the students and researchers working together today. It's an investment in the long haul.
Which leaves us with the big question. We've seen the unshakable historical trust, the massive defense deals, the ocean-spanning maritime strategy, and the cutting-edge tech collaborations. As the Indo-Pacific continues to heat up and global power dynamics shift all over the place, is this time-tested India-France alliance the ultimate geopolitical counterweight? It's a partnership built entirely on maintaining autonomy, and it really might just be the exact anchor this region needs in the decades to come. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.